All right. What is going on, fellas? We got a doubleheader Monday Night Football for Week 14 here. Kind of drizzlers of games. Dolphins Titans might be over by halftime, but who knows? Maybe Will Levis will show us something. I think all of us thought Jacksonville and Cincinnati wasn't going to be close last week, and then Jake Browning decided to cook. So who knows? Maybe we'll get a little Tommy DeVito v. Jordan Love shootout. That wouldn't shock me either, but Packers could roll and Dolphins could roll, and that might not be a shock at all.
For sure. Yeah, no, it'll be not as fascinating as obviously the 4 p.m. to Sunday night slate yesterday, which I experienced all too well. Big time home W, Dallas Cowboys, 20 points over the Philadelphia Eagles. I honestly thought it was like a B minus game from the Cowboys overall. The Eagles kind of, shot themselves in the foot at times. Obviously, you press the issue, you created turnovers, but like Dak did not have one of his best games of the year, and the Cowboys won by 20 against the Eagles.
Yeah, well, I mean, it also helps that Jalen Hurts had his worst game of the year, probably.
That's fair.
Yeah, one thing that I keep hearing people is cause Dak said it, and I feel like you're just kind of parroting it. You're like, we didn't even play our best. We could have scored 50 points. It's like you also held like a 10-2 football team to 6 points or whatever it ended up being.
No doubt.
That is playing your best on defense. So
yeah, no, the defense played well. I'm also saying the offense. Like the offense, you could say that they put up 33 points overall, and yes, that would be true. But at the same time, it's like multiple possessions, for example, the 60-yarder, the 59-yarder, the 50-yarder. It's like they're long field goals at the end of the day. Like you got points, but are they really that great of possessions? You didn't really advance the ball down. So
for sure. We got a couple questions in here from Casey. He says semi and final next 2 weeks starting Allen, Bijan, Achane, Adams, Hill / likely decision points will be Higgins, Ridley, and Mostert for one wide receiver, one flex, Lockett, Keaton, Mitchell, Sharps on the bench. PPR league. I mean, you're going to have plenty of time to finagle with these kind of decisions and, see what you want to do. As of right now, I'd probably leave Calvin Ridley in the wide receiver spot and Raheem Mostert in the flex. But if we see any kind of big time usage shift where Mostert's completely phased out of this Dolphins offense, then maybe you go with Higgins over Mostert. But that's probably your main spot there. I don't think I would mess around with Lockett and if Walker were to miss more time, I think you could slide Charbonnet in, but he would probably need to get injured, and I don't think Keaton Mitchell's going to factor in there.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Cheeky says 12 teams, super flex, 1.5. I'm assuming tight end premium. Start 10, top spot locked up. So it looks like he's going to have a bye week this week. Quarterback Hurts, Browning, DeVito, Cousins. Running back Stevenson, Eckler, Pierce, Connor, Madison. Wide receivers Jefferson, Puka, Devontae, Kirk, Godwin, and Wilson. I don't know if that's Garrett or not. Probably is. Tight end Kincaid, Okonkwo, and Everett. Basically, he says guys offering him Ezekiel Elliott for Christian Kirk will not budge. Worth it. I would say, I mean, you're obviously considering this move given that Ramondre Stevenson's injured, Austin Eckler's underperformed, Damian Pierce is underperformed, Alexander Madison's injured now. Honest to God, dude, I would just roll with Eckler and James Conner going forward and have wide receivers through your flex. And Zeke is a fine option for contenders if you guys are looking to buy on a player right now, but Christian Kirk is too valuable to give up, in my opinion. He's not like an overly valuable dynasty wide receiver, but I mean, realistically, Ezekiel Elliott's not going to be worth shit after the season's over.
Well, exactly. You already know you're forfeiting at least a second of value after the season. Once Ezekiel Elliott after the year is worth a third, and then you can make the argument that Christian Kirk's probably worth an early to mid-second. So, I just think that's an overpay.
Yeah, for sure. If it was Christian Kirk in a third for Zeke in a second, then I would maybe be okay with a move like that. It helps you out in the long term and you get the production of Zeke right now. That would probably be the best I could do, though, given that Zeke is, like I said, basically a dead asset after this year. And it's like you want to pay for that production, but at the same time, you don't want to sacrifice too much. Like I would rather go after, or honestly, not even go after anybody, because I think you're fine with Connor and Eckler, to be honest.
Agreed.
He said trade deadline tonight. So yeah, that's probably just going to hold there. Why the fuck didn't they stagger these games? Yeah, I don't know. 7:00 or whatever, 7:20 kickoff and an 8:15 kickoff would have probably been ideal, but they're going to have like a mini little ESPN red zone double box going. I'm sure like they did that one, earlier on in the season. They had like a double box game going. It was weird.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like this concept. I guess you could get away with it when there's two games like the ones that are on tonight. But like you better not, if you're gonna do something like this, you better not put like Cowboys versus Lions and like I don't know, Niners versus Ravens on at the same night. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I mean, I think it's more likely that it would be one of the games is good, one of the games is bad, rather
Yeah,
than both the games are good. You're either going to get both bad or one good, one bad, probably. Most of the
agreed.
time you schedule this out in advance. Going to the playoffs without Herbert, and I only have Bryce left in Superflex. I am in the exact same situation as you, my man. I'm actually in a worse situation because I have two leagues where I have Justin Herbert, and I'm making the playoffs in both. I have a bye week in one, and I have in the Bitcoin league I'm just like in the playoffs. I think I'm like the 3 seed or something like that. Justin Herbert is out. I do have actually Brock Purdy and Bryce Young in that league, but in my other league, which is the Get Faded League, I already lost Kirk Cousins and now I lost Justin Herbert. So yes, Bryce Young is also my only quarterback left. So I tried making it a deal today. I offered out what was the thing I sent out? Let me actually take a look at the offer. I sent out a third rounder and like a young receiver like a Khalil Shakir, like Sky Moore for Baker Mayfield. And the guy was like, I think I should get at least a second and a third for Baker. I'm like, well, all right. If you're going to be completely unreasonable, then I'm not going to make a deal with you. But yeah, it's tough out in these streets right now. I'm trying to find and salvage whatever I can at quarterback at this point in time. There's not a whole lot out there. I might have to be fucking sending a third rounder for Zach Wilson at this point.
Yeah, for real.
I'm devastated. Yeah, I feel you, dude. I probably wasn't going to win anyway. I had a number of other injuries, but at the same time, I literally have a bye in the league. Like I'm the 2 seed, and I'm going to basically just get bounced round 1 because I've had so many quarterback injuries. Such as life. I'm sure there's people out there that have like a 4 quarterback stack of like, and I almost have this in the Bush League, Best Ball League, where it's like you had Anthony Richardson, Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson, and Aaron Rodgers coming into the year, and you're like, I literally don't have a quarterback to start now, and I had the best quarterback core in the league coming into the season.
Yeah, not great. I mean, for example, similar in the FSC Listener League, coming into the season, I was actually just going to offer you a deal for Trubisky, knowing that you had Trubisky. Did not realize that league had a trade deadline, so like that kind of stinks there.
Tough.
But yeah, I entered the year with Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson, and now Deshaun Watson's out for the season, and Justin Herbert obviously has a fractured finger, so not fun.
Not great, Bob. Not great.
At least I have the 1 seed.
What's up?
I was just gonna say at least I have the 1 seed, so I have my bye week this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not going to help you out too much, though, knowing the whole situation. I'm curious if anybody rosters Joe Flacco in this league, because that would be somebody I could go after here.
What league?
The league that I have, I lost Herbert, and I have like nobody else basically.
Fair enough.
This guy, what is his record? He is 5-8. That the guy that has Joe Flacco. So this might actually work out for me nicely. I'm gonna see what kind of offer I can fashion for him here. Third rounder, like I don't want to give up a third rounder for Joe Flacco, right? Like I want to get maybe something back in return, like Flacco and a fourth.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
See if I can get that done. But yeah, I'm in a tough spot right now. IDub says full PPR need 50 from Saquon, Waddle, and Tua to win first round of playoffs. You should definitely probably have that.
Yeah.
50 is not a guarantee, but I think you should be all right there. If you assume Saquon gets like 15 or 16 points, Waddle gets 12 to 15 points, and Tua gets 20, I think you're probably in a good spot there. And you get 1-2 at a Waddle touchdown, and it's probably GG. Need a big game from either Mostert or Waddle tonight. Whom would you start in flex? If you need a big game, Waddle's probably your guy, I would imagine, because Mostert's split in the backfield. But, I mean, Mostert's had big games with HN out there before. I just think that Waddle's probably the guy that gets loose for like a long touchdown or something like that.
Yeah, I would go Waddle as well.
I've gone Zach Moss the past 2 weeks, and he's been duds. Would y'all roll with Cooper again going forward for playoffs with Flacco?
I can't. I mean, no, like I understand it hasn't worked out, but when you're watching these Colts games, the amount of times Zach Moss gets fed the ball as soon as they get inside the 5-yard line. And I understand like he just hasn't been a good football player, and it kind of sucks watching a bad football player try to ram it in the end zone from the 5-yard line 10 times a game. But you gotta trust the process there, man. inherently that you're not going to go 0 for 15 from runs inside the 5 in terms of being able to score the ball. So I do think sooner rather than later, Zach Moss punches in a touchdown or two. I think Zach Moss may be the mid-end to high-end RB1 that some people were ranking him at. Probably is a little bit high because he's not showing the same talent level he did earlier in the year without Jonathan Taylor. However, is he still probably a back-end RB1, RB2 based on the usage alone? I think he has to be there with Jonathan Taylor out.
Yeah, you're probably on to something there for sure. I actually,
Jonathan Taylor's
I
back
never thought I
week
would need
16,
a
right?
big game out of Wan'Dale Robinson to have one of my best ball mania teams crack back into the playoffs, but apparently I need a big game out of Wan'Dale Robinson, which is the first time anybody's ever said that sentence.
Dude, you know how many teams I was looking through my third place teams. I'm like sub 50 points off, and I have Dolphins live tonight, so it's gonna be fun. It's like I'll be 50 points off with Tua and Tyreek, or like 10 points off with Raheem Mostert or something like that in some of these lineups. There's actually one I think I'm
For the
5
most
behind
part,
you.
I'm gonna be. I think let me actually do a count right now because I'm advancing 40 teams at the moment. This team is live. If Wan'Dale has more than what does he need? 9.7 points in half PPR. That's kind of a lot for Wan'Dale in half PPR. So that one probably not great. This one, if Raheem Mostert has more than 6.8 points, then that one's in. So that one's probably good. 11.2 points I need from Achane, Mostert, and I have, I think, Jaden Reed also in this lineup too. So that one's live. 34.3 out of Mostert. Yeah, one's probably not going to get Wan'Dale and Paris Campbell too, but I don't think that's probably going to do well. I'd say the most I'm probably going to advance is 43 out of 150, most likely. But it's also possible that some of these slide down too. I haven't looked at the other teams behind me or whatever, but there's a couple where I'm only up like 4 points or whatever. So
yeah, I think when I checked, I was advancing 31 or 32. I think it was 725 or 750 I was getting back. So
dude, this is wild. This team I drafted on May 6th. I got Devon Achane in the 14th round.
Jesus.
Crazy.
But yeah, we got a quick super here from Christian. Appreciate that. He says underdog picks for tonight. We can look at it.
Yeah, so I actually have I did a parlay that I can show you guys real quick.
Oh yeah, I want to see how that ended up.
Let me just take a look here. So I tweeted this out earlier today. If you guys are looking for some bets to tail, and I'm sure there's underdog pick'ems that are similar as well. We got 2 3-leg parlays tonight. In the Dolphins game, I like Achane to score. Let me actually take a look he might actually have a thing here. Maybe I don't want to log in on that with this on the screen. What am I doing here? Where am I going? Where was I? There we go. So Achane touchdown score. Tajay Spears over 2.5 receptions. He's gone over 2.5 receptions in 7 of 12 games this year. Achane has actually scored in all 4 of his healthy games. So that one seemed pretty nice to me at minus 110 for him to find the end zone. And then Hopkins over 4.5 receptions. He has 11, 7, and 13 targets in the last 3 games that Tennessee has lost. So when they've been playing from behind, he's been targeted pretty heavily. And then in the Giants-Packers game, I had Romeo Doubs to score a touchdown. I think he was like plus 195 or something to score. And he's actually scored 7 touchdowns this season, and 4 of them came in the 4 games that Christian Watson has been out. So a good chance to find the end zone there. This one's a little guttier. Jalen Hyatt, 50-plus receiving yards and over 2.5 receptions. I mean, he's a threat to catch long bomb touchdowns or just big plays in general. And he's played 4 games over 60% of the snaps this year, and he's actually gone over 75 yards in 2 of those games. And he also had 6 targets, before the bye, and 5 receptions for like 109 yards right before the bye. So it's possible that we get a little bit more Jalen Hyatt involved into the game plan. So those are like the picks that I like for tonight, based on kind of how these teams match up against each other.
Yeah, sounds good.
Live Creation says need a big game from either. Oh yeah, we already talked about that. We said we'd start Waddle. If you had to guess right now, where would the tier breaks be in the first round of Dynasty rookie drafts this spring? So this is a good question. I would say right off the bat, I think we've known for a while now that the top 3 picks are going to be highly valued Dynasty assets that are probably top 15 startup picks, top 20 startup picks. Drake May actually declared for the draft today, so that's obviously one guy that's confirmed. Caleb Williams, I'm sure, will declare pretty soon as well. And Marvin Harrison, I'm sure, hopefully will declare. He's talked about coming back to Ohio State. I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be the first major tier break. And I would say probably somewhere around the 106 to 105 will be another one once Malik Nabers, Brock Bowers, and
maybe Jim Daniels.
Potentially whatever other quarterbacks go in the first round would be around that next tier break area. And then I think kind of similar to this year, from 107 to like 112, we'll have like a bucket of good wide receiver prospects. And those guys will probably be a tier break over like the running back prospects or the other like Troy Franklin type of wide receiver prospects behind.
No, I would agree with that as well. I do think at this point, after that second tier that you mentioned, Odunze kind of sticks out as like the clear-cut third receiver at this point. I think for me, at least, it's pretty clear. Marvin Harrison, Malik Nabers, Rome Odunze. I like the other wide receivers in this class, but I do think that Odunze, given the projection, given the skill set, and given that we know he's probably going to be a top 10 to 15 overall draft pick, it's kind of weird because I feel like he separated himself from the rest of the class, but he's not quite the Nabers and the Marvin Harrison like I was talking about.
Yeah, I'm not ready to say that he's well above Xavier Worthy yet. Egbuka, I think I'll probably concede on a little bit because of the down season this year. He's got to, test well and have a good, pro day circuit and all that kind of stuff. So I would say Worthy would be the other guy that I think could catch him potentially. But Odunze, I would say probably checks more boxes for a lot of people because he's, got the size component, and I think he'll test well and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, if Worthy weighs in at 175 pounds and runs in the 4.2s, like I think that the NFL will probably draft him higher than Odunze, to be honest. I think that he'll actually go higher in the draft.
I can't see it. I think Odunze is going to be a locked-in top 15 pick, to be honest.
I wouldn't be shocked if he's off the board first. Like I think Worthy will still be a first rounder, but we'll see kind of how that shakes out. I think that a lot of people, the thing that I'm excited for with Worthy is that if he does slide later into the first round, like I would love to see him go to like Cincinnati if T. Higgins leaves in free agency, or Kansas City is a logical situation for him too if they need some speed on that offense and shit. I think that'd be the nice thing for Egbuka and for Worthy is that if they slide a little bit in the first round, they'll go to a better team.
Yeah, no, for sure.
For a rookie draft this year, how much does it take to move up to the 103 from like 109 in your opinion? It'll take a lot, I would say.
2 ones. I think 2 ones.
You would have to pay 109 plus 2 ones to get to 103?
Well, if you're doing that, the 109 we'll just say is equatable to a first round pick. I think you can easily make the claim that all 3 of those top 3 guys are going to be worth 3 ones in Dynasty.
Well, I mean, Worthy's a good example of somebody that's probably going to be available at 109. So 109, Xavier Worthy, where is he among Dynasty wide receiver rankings? Like what, Dynasty wide receiver 30, 25 maybe? 30, and he's probably a 5th or a 6th round startup pick, maybe a 5th rounder if you're high on Xavier Worthy like I am. How much does it cost you to go up from the 5th round of your startup to the top 15 where Harrison and Drake May are going to be going? Like it's probably 2 mid to late ones. I would say if you had like another, like if you had the 106 also or something, you could package them both together and probably get up there. But yeah, it's gonna probably cost you a pretty penny because if you can get Harrison or Drake May or Caleb Williams with that pick, like people are gonna value it highly. And if they don't know that yet, then definitely get ahead of the pack. And maybe all it costs you is your 2025 first to get up there right now before anybody kind of realizes what's going on. But at the same time, like even if like worst case scenario happened and one of those guys didn't come out, Caleb Williams or Marvin Harrison, like you would still have Malik Nabers locked in there.
Yeah.
And I think Nabers can be a dynasty wide receiver 1 for me right from jump, depending on, depends a little bit where he goes, but I think he's going to be a top 5 NFL draft pick or top 10 NFL draft pick.
Let's project it out. Let's just say the LA Chargers, obviously Justin Herbert's going to be out for this week, Thursday Night Football against the Raiders. Let's say they lose that game. They go down to, what would that be? 5-9? At 5-9, and then you have conversations like, are we going to even bring back Justin Herbert for the rest of the season? Are we even going to expose him to the situation?
Yeah, they'll shut him down. If they get eliminated from the postseason, they'll shut him down.
Well, if that's the case, they're going to be a 6-11, 7-10 football team, and at that point, you have to evaluate like, hey, if we have a top 10 pick, we have to do everything in our power to give Justin Herbert another weapon, whether that's with Brock Bowers, whether that's with Malik Nabers. So long story short, I pose a question to you. Malik Nabers goes to the Chargers with the 8th overall pick. What's stopping you from ranking him as a top 6 or 7 dynasty wide receiver?
I think I would I would have some pause about putting him over known studs like Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave and guys like that, but he would be right in the range of a Drake London, Puka
Take him
Nacua type
easily
of
over
option
Waddle
for
for
me.
me. Easily
What's
over
up?
Waddle for me. Easily over Waddle, easily over London. I think he has to be over those guys,
I wouldn't
given the
say he'd be
prospect
easily over
profile.
those guys. I think he'd be over them in the same tier.
Fair, but I'm just thinking from a market value standpoint. If he goes out there and he explodes in year one with the opportunity with Justin Herbert in that offense, he may be dynasty wide receiver 3.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What happens though if so I mean the Giants are picking 5 right now. The Titans are picking 6. The Bears picking 7. Raiders
Bears would be
picking 8.
nice.
Jets picking 9. All of those teams could
Jets would
take
be
Malik
nice.
Nabers. Every single one
Yeah.
of those teams.
Yeah, no, I'm just mostly saying like if he lands in an advantageous spot, I do think it matters. Like obviously, at the end of the day, we're looking at the player itself, we're looking at the talent itself. But like we've seen with a guy like Drake London, if they don't land in the proper spot, the optimal spot, it may take them 2-3 years, and they typically go out of the dynasty mindset at that point. We've noticed people are already kind of turning on Drake London prior to this week because he hasn't had that big time stat production, which was always dumb, knowing inherently that Desmond Ridder just has sucked, which is why he hasn't. But that's the nature of the dynasty market at this point. As soon as you don't produce top 10 worthy stats within your second season, people will start, looking at you the wrong way. So.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same page there. I'd actually be I would hope, to be honest, just selfishly,
Yeah.
because I want this to happen as somebody who wants to scoop some value. I kind of hope that Malik Nabers goes like 5th overall to the Giants or 6th overall to the Titans or something, and everybody fades him because he's the Titans. He's on the Titans or he's on the Giants, and we can get him at 105, 106 because people are dumb and they do the same thing. They did the same thing with Garrett Wilson and with other players too. So. That would be my selfish take on this rookie class. Jason says Browning or Flacco, and would you start over Murray? No, definitely not. I would start Kyler Murray over both of those guys.
I go Browning over Flacco though.
I don't actually know who they're playing this week, to be honest. I think depending on the matchup, that would probably sway me in one direction or the other.
Yeah, fair. Like if we're looking at it right now, the going up against Minnesota for the Bengals, and for the Browns, they are going up against the Bears, actually.
Yeah, I mean, Flacco threw the ball a ton this week,
Yeah.
so I would probably actually go Flacco, to be honest.
Yeah, is this rest of season? Because I mean, I wouldn't
They
start
also
either
like
over Kyler.
they like as a T Higgins manager, trust me, and a Jamar Chase manager, I watched them run the ball literally anytime they were inside the 20-yard line this past week. They didn't really trust Jake Browning in the red zone at all. And Joe Flacco had like 3 touchdowns at 30+ yards this past week. So I think the explosive play option is Flacco for sure. Toronto Dave, what's going on? Casey says I'm up by 10 with both Finns running backs against Spears tonight. Yeah, you are definitely in the clear, my man. Clinton says, would y'all roll with Henry or HN tonight? Just got a good feeling with Henry, but I don't know. I would 100% go HN. I wouldn't even think twice about it.
Yeah, implied points alone, the game situation.
Yeah, and game script as well. Like, Bush, we are done. LOL. What did we do? What did I do?
We are done. Because he probably assumed that I would go on a big Cowboys tangent.
Oh, facts. Yeah. My league's playoffs starts week 16 to 18. Dude, abolish week 18 playoffs, man. What are we doing? Is there anyone who should pick up from waivers in case a starter doesn't play? I mean, your best options right now are probably, I think the Dolphins will win tonight. So Dolphins, Ravens, and 49ers players, I guess, are your best option. But
yeah,
I wouldn't really plan for that until like probably week 17 or 18 when you actually know like who's locked into what seed. Really stupid though. Like I would suggest to your league commissioner to not do this so that you don't have to worry about starters potentially not playing.
It's literally the worst.
It's the worst. Yeah. Just need Henry to not get outscored by D-Hop by 20 and I'm in my playoffs. Yeah, I think you should be okay there, Jared. Who the fuck am I starting going forward? Trey McBride or Isaiah Likely? Trey McBride, Isaiah Likely caught a lucky long touchdown, and good for you. You streamed Isaiah Likely in the 1 week that you couldn't play Trey McBride because he was on bye. So take the good performance from Isaiah Likely and start your high target share stud going forward. Difference between Pitts and McBride and Dynasty Superflex?
There isn't one.
There isn't one. They're at the very least they're in the same tier, I would say, and I would imagine most people would prefer McBride at this point in time, to be honest.
To be honest, if I had McBride and you're giving me Pitts, you probably need to add a 2 at this point. That's the nature of where we're
I
at.
personally think I would.
You wouldn't do it straight up, so you would want a juice on top.
I would want some kind of little piece on top of it.
2 for
but
3?
Pitts, man, like I still believe in him. I still think he's a talented player, and I still think that long term it's going to work itself out for Kyle Pitts. But at the same time, like we can't just blame Arthur Smith. Like he's at fault also. He's also not quite taking the step in his development that he should be taking.
Agreed.
Montgomery getting pulled off most of the second half screwed me. Yeah, it's not ideal.
Love that
sure.
as a Gibbs manager.
He's the game script guy. You figured it was going to be a good positive game script, and he was going to be, grinding out the clock against his old team. And Danny's going to flex his underdog pick of the week right now. So,
wait, I wasn't even going to do that.
I was for sure that's where you were going with that.
Well, I mean, we could do that as well, knowing that.
Also, Rams Baltimore. I had a touchdown dog live there as my underdog pick of the week, and then fucking Tylan Wallace out of God knows where decided to return a punt for a touchdown.
Hey, if Jalen Waddle scores over 20 PPR points, I literally go perfect on the week in the locks of the week, underdog picks, and going nuts in the safe play.
Yeah, Javonte Williams having 18.1 PPR points kind of stings, not going to lie. And the Carolina Saints game, missing the over on a missed field goal or two is also kind of unfortunate. And yeah, like I said, I had Rams money line against the Ravens, and that one really could have hit. I should have just went with the Bucks, man. I knew my lock of the week should have been the Bucks money line. I should have just went with it.
Yeah, no, you were.
We all knew we all knew the NFC South was destined to be 3, 6, and 7 teams. We all knew it was going to happen.
Hey, this is actually what I was going to say real quick, though. All things considered, I finally got lucky in my home league. I finally did. This week, my team did not put up a ton of points. And you know what? I faced the lowest scoring team of the week, and I clinched my playoff spot. After all season of having a high points for, like the second highest in the league, I got a nice, karma, if that will, week 14. End up getting 80 points on the other end, put up 97. So again, a very, very low scoring game from my perspective, because obviously the Bills didn't have their biggest offensive output, specifically Stephon Diggs. But we got in the dance. We are getting the 6 overall seed, and we will officially be in Buffalo next week, watching basically half my team playing with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Dalton Kincaid, potentially Shakir. I'm probably going to go for a different flex at this point with Tony Pollard as a run back. Yeah,
I also have Allen, Kincaid, and Pollard for my own team next week as well. I'm actually slightly mad right now because I just made this. The Flacco trade just went through. Low key, Easton Stick was on waivers, so I could have just picked him up. Not sure that's a good thing to have Easton Stick on my roster and playing him in my starting lineup in the fantasy playoffs, but I think a third for Flacco and a fourth is not a huge price to pay. No. And the fourth that I got is a rebuilding team. I'm a contending team, so the third and the fourth are probably like a 6-pick difference, to be honest.
Yep, makes sense.
I guess I can drop Colt McCoy, considering he's making videos for Underdog and not actually playing in the NFL anymore. So classic Mr. Blue. Live Creations says I'm full PPR up by 5 points. I have Mostert, Waddle, and Jaden Reed. He has Tua and Derrick Henry. Do I make the playoffs tonight?
Okay, so what? Mostert plus Reed equals Tua?
Yeah, probably.
Then it's Waddle versus Derrick Henry. I'd probably give you a 60% chance of winning this.
I think it's less than that. I think you're like a 45% chance. Tua has a chance to just fucking throw 3 bombs to Tyreek, and then you're fucked.
You do. That's the thing. You do have the Waddle blocker as well.
You have the Waddle blocker, but you don't have Hill, which is the problem.
Yeah.
And Hill's over-under on his receiving yards, according to DraftKings, is literally 110 yards this week. So not looking too great there.
Dude, in the FSC Listener League, by the way, I'm probably going to end up losing, but I do have Tua, AJ Dillon, and Tyreek Hill going up against Devon Achane and Jalen Waddle and Jaden Reed tonight. I'm down by 28 points. I'm projected to lose by 8. But that team, bro, are you kidding me? I lose Nico Collins and Justin Jefferson this week after already being without Isaiah Pacheco.
That happens.
Yeah. Some bad luck.
Yeah, I need to drop a player. Paris Campbell can pound sand.
105 in a late first. Would you make the picks or look to move for production? Well, like what? I need more context here. What place are you in? Like the playoffs are starting this week.
Yeah.
Like 105 in a late 2024 first. Unless I'm getting an elite needle mover, I'm not moving those picks.
Yeah, I mean, looking at your team, you're in a like Lamar and Kyler Murray's elite duo at quarterback. Bijan bench guys. I mean, I guess you got a hero RB going. Garrett Wilson, Waddle, Puka, JSN, tight end Andrews and Ferguson. Like you're probably a top 4 team or top 3 team in your league, I would imagine. 105 in a late 2024 first. Like
I need a tie end piece.
Yeah.
Like
I would say maybe like if you can take Andrews and the late 2024 first, grab Laporta and like a difference making RB1 on top of that. That would make some sense because then you get a better tight end. You upgrade your RB2 slot or whatever. Like that would make some sense to me. But it would really depend kind of how the rest of the league is shaking out. Like, are you like the number 1 favorite or are you kind of in like 5th place right now? And you're like, oh, should I just make this pick here?
Yeah.
Or trade this pick to try and win.
Up 23. He's got Henry and Hopkins. My chances? Oh, man. If this is full PPR, I'm sorry, Christian. I think you're done for.
Yeah, you're probably done.
I give what, 25% chance here?
Yeah, probably less than that, to be honest. Hopkins, I think Hopkins is probably going to catch 6 or 7 passes in this game, which will knock him to a 15-point floor, to be honest.
Agreed. Hopefully for your sake that they have down games, though, Christian.
Yeah. Hopefully they get killed so bad that they pull the starters in the second half. M says, hey, boys, I'm down 40 with Tyreek and Achane left to play. How's it looking for me? Dude, I trust those two guys with my 60, life.
60% chance, 65%?
Yeah, 65%? I'd say 75, dude. I think Tyreek might have a 25, 30-point game, no problem.
Yeah,
you know what's crazy? I was looking through this. Like DJ Moore, Pittman, Amon-Ra, Debo, those guys have 5 20-plus point performances this year. And then Puka Nacua, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, and Keenan Allen have 6. Care to guess how many Tyreek has?
11.
He has 9. That would be pretty crazy if he had 11.
Yeah, that's crazy. Now,
dude, the guy scored 20 plus points in 9 of his 12 games this year so far, 13 games this year. Crazy.
I want to say he's averaging like 27 PPR points per game right
26.5, I think, is what he's averaging.
It's ridiculous. Like, let me. Am I good? Okay, my screen went black. Okay, he's averaging 26.1 PPR points per game. Actually, week 14 isn't recorded on there because it's not finished, but the guys right after him would be Keenan Allen and CeeDee Lamb. But Keenan Allen actually had a bad game this week, right?
Yeah, he did. And he's probably going to be he might be the type of guy that like gets everybody advanced into the Best Ball Mania finals and then just drops out because Easton Stick's going to be his quarterback going forward, which is not bad for me considering I did not draft a whole lot of Keenan Allen, even though my highest scoring team has Keenan Allen on it.
Yeah, facts.
It's funny because like I didn't draft like any Keenan Allen in Best Ball Mania 4. So it's funny that he's probably going to, and Tank Dell and Nico Collins, all these guys are like, oh, everybody's getting advanced because of these players, but there's going to be a lot of dead teams now with those guys out.
Well, I mean, Nico Collins is the big one, right? Like Nico Collins.
Well, Tank Dell's a higher advance rate than Nico does.
You think
pretty
so?
Sure. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he was like a 17th round pick, right? He was like a really late pick.
Right, fair. I was gonna say because Nico
was like 17... a 9th rounder, so it's like you had to take him a lot earlier.
He averaged 17.6 PPR points per game when he was healthy, and obviously adjusted for half PPR. But he would be a player that benefits from adjusting half PPR, knowing that he's not a pure volume guy. He's been a guy who's gotten big plays.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, that's interesting. We're gonna need a Stephon Diggs blowout game soon because the last few have been pretty disappointing. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, hopefully we see that in next week.
Hopefully, just big time scoring, man. I honestly think
I would love to see a fucking good old fashioned 37-33 barn burner in Buffalo because I have so much exposure to Josh Allen and Dalton Kincaid on my own home league team, and I got a million Cowboys stacks and underdog best ball drafts. Like that one's going to be also very interesting in terms of how it plays out in the best ball playoff rounds because like CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott and like those guys are mega chalk plays. This like everybody advanced those players.
hear me out. Just imagine the scenes were live in Buffalo during the game. It's 38-34 Bills. They kick the ball back with 2 minutes left for the Cowboys. Winner go home. 38-34, 41-38 final. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean,
And then I get a
Bills
Dak to Gallop because I have I have like some sneaky Cowboy stacks that advance Gallop, and I bet you the advance rate on that guy's fucking putrid.
Probably, yeah. I still don't know why you drafted so much of them, to be honest.
I didn't think he would be this bad again, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he got
Space
snaps
anyway
earlier
says,
on.
half PPR, I'm up 6 points with D-Hop left, and my opponent has Henry. If I win, I make playoffs. I mean, half PPR helps you a little bit. 6 points means more in half PPR. D-Hop versus Henry, I'd give you like a 70% chance. I think that's a pretty good handicap that you got with 6 point advantage.
Especially in half. Yeah, I agree there.
FSC to best. Appreciate it. GIF or GIF, whatever you go by. The roll says I got Achan. Also, it's a toilet paper roll, which is jokes. And Love, I need 24 more points than the Dolphins kicker. I mean, Sanders could fucking cook. So that's a little bit of a concern, and this is why we should abolish kickers. But Achan and Love, I think you should have that. I wouldn't be shocked if Love put up 24 himself, and then you just need Achan to beat the kicker out there. I would say you got an 80% chance of winning that. That might be a little high projection, but I believe in those two guys this week. Worried about Ridley moving forward? I'm not really that worried. The schedule is a little tight. I think Lawrence will probably just play better going forward. That was a tough game from him. And against the Browns, I mean, they're a good pass defense. McBride or Laporta? Yes, I have both. I robbed them off waivers. I probably lean Laporta, but McBride is also a great play next week as well.
Yeah, agreed.
Arizona versus San Fran, I believe, and then Detroit's playing who?
Lions? Who are they playing?
No, the Tigers, actually.
Who do the Lions play this week? Sam Laporta. I have him on this team here. Week 15. He plays against the Broncos Saturday night.
True. We have Saturday night games in week 15.
Yeah. We have a Saturday 1, Saturday 4:30, Saturday night game.
Oh shit! Yeah, actually, I dig the Saturday night slate.
I do too.
The Saturday slate in general during the fantasy playoffs. It actually makes it so much better. It's best when it's all spread out. You know.
Yeah, agreed.
Let me actually double check real quick. Do I have anybody in my home league playing on Saturday?
Super sticker from Mo, real quick. He says up 21. He has Hill tonight. Shaking my head. I had Collins and JJ get hurt, and St. Brown and Kincaid didn't show up. 21 points PPR. I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm going to give you like a 40% chance to win here.
21 versus Hill?
40?
No, I think you got a 20% chance, dude. I think in PPR, Hill's got that shit.
Yeah, probably.
It's the easiest pass defense in the league.
Yeah. Fuck. That's tough.
I mean, injuries. Maybe they pull him in the second half. Maybe he just doesn't catch a fucking 75-yard touchdown. But knowing that these quarterbacks are starting to make headway on his MVP case, maybe he does catch a couple of fucking bombs this week.
It's okay. It's Dak's award now, baby. Let's go.
I still think Tyreek deserves it, to be honest. But
Big Dak, baby.
Also, don't be discounting Big Purdy, my man. He had 368 yards this past week.
Yeah, let's see him not play with the Avengers every week, and maybe I'd take it seriously.
You can't say that about Purdy. You got good talent around him too.
Do not even remotely.
I'm not comparing them to the 49ers in terms of talent, but Dak would be shit without good talent around him.
And Dak is an elevator. Brock Purdy is playing with Deebo Samuel, Brendan Ayuk, George Kittle,
Brock Purdy is also an elevator for what it's worth.
No, he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
These guys perform at this consistent, this high level every single week.
He's better than
Brock Purdy.
He's better than Jimmy Garoppolo and a fringe top 15-ish guy, but let's not put him in remotely the same breath as Dak Prescott with what
I will put him in the same breath as Dak. I don't think he's a better quarterback, but I will put him in the same breath.
Dak is doing so much more.
He's doing great. He's playing like a top 5 quarterback this year, but Brock Purdy is also. He is, dude. Context. He is. I don't care. He's got an Avengers supporting cast, dude. He's a second-year quarterback. This is like his 13th start.
I'll give him credit, but at the same time, we got to be realistic.
He's at a point right now where, we shouldn't even be seeing him be good because he's a young quarterback. This dude is literally annihilating the league as a second-year 7th rounder.
I mean, if we're gonna do that, Tua Tagovailoa is doing more for his offense than
Tua
Brock Purdy is
Tagovailoa
for
was
the
a top
Niners.
5 draft pick.
Oh, for sure. But I'm saying, like,
And he
I'm
also
not
was
putting him.
useless until his third season.
I'm not putting him in that. If you want to say like amongst Tua and stuff like that, like he's playing really well ahead of that tier, I think that's fine. But I don't think it's remotely close with what they're
Yeah,
doing.
Dak has
and what
also
they're
been in the
commanded to do.
NFL for fucking 9 seasons.
Okay, does that?
Dude, this is a second-year quarterback.
Is it the most valuable first 5-year player award, or is it the MVP?
It's not. I'm not saying it's the most valuable first 5-year player. I'm just saying you got to also factor in, dude. Quarterback in the NFL is way harder than it is in college, and this dude is literally already playing at an MVP level in his second NFL season.
Having Kyle Shanahan helps, and again, I'll give him credit. Like I said, he's probably
what didn't help Trey Lance.
Type of guy. He's okay. Trey Lance is a third-string quarterback.
It's not just Kyle Shanahan. You have to be a good quarterback. Also,
and that's why I said
he's a top. Kyle Shanahan be the only thing that's carrying you.
Did I not just say he's a top 15-ish guy?
Yeah, I think top 15 is too low for how he's played this year.
I mean, given the context of the team,
top 15 is way too low for how he's played.
Like Matthew Stafford's playing better football right now.
No, he's not.
Matthew Stafford. Yeah,
no, he's not. Matthew Stafford has played really well this year, but he's not playing better than Brock Purdy.
Yes, he is.
No, he isn't.
With what Matthew Stafford has to do in the confines of his offense, it's not.
He has Sean McVay and 2 elite receivers.
That's what you got to watch. Like what he's doing on a week-to-week basis.
Great. He's been unreal this year. He's played like a top 10 quarterback. He's not been better than Brock Purdy.
I completely disagree.
Why? I can name you 65 million metrics why Brock Purdy's better.
Cooper Kupp has not been the same Cooper Kupp objectively this year. We can acknowledge that.
He's still Cooper Kupp. He still demands attention. That still helps Matthew Stafford.
When he's dealing with tightrope surgery and he literally banged it up and re-injured it 2
Cooper
weeks
Kupp,
ago.
Dude. He still demands attention.
He does not look like the same player.
He still helps the quarterback.
Oh, so we're just not going to agree on Brock Purdy versus Matthew Stafford.
You're disrespecting a top 10 NFL quarterback this year.
He's not top 10. Top 15, like I said. You want to make that? That's fine.
You cannot name 15 quarterbacks that have had a better season than him. Not a chance. Not even
close.
When
we're eliminating like the Joe Burrows and stuff like that, okay, maybe he's closer to 10.
Has he been a top 15 quarterback this year? No. He's outplayed Joe Burrow for most of the season.
Projecting moving forward, how are you ranking Brock Purdy amongst quarterbacks?
Assuming everybody's healthy, yeah, top 10 to 15 is probably right, but he has played
15.
Like a top 5 to 10 quarterback this year.
So top 15, like I said.
10 to 15.
Because I think you can make the argument just based off the numbers, the efficiency that he's played better than Jalen Hurts. But I think the context of the offense, I think Jalen Hurts does way more for his own offense.
Yeah.
Right?
But you just said he's played better than Jalen Hurts, and you think he's a top 15 quarterback this year?
No, but I'm saying people can argue that he is. I'm saying given the context of the offense, given the context of what Kyle Shanahan asks him to do, I think we have to bake that in here, man. When you're playing with Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, like those guys are legitimate Hall of Fame talents.
Yeah, you're delusional, bro. Brock Purdy's been a top 5 quarterback this year. That's not. I don't even think that's debatable, dude. I don't even think that is debatable. I don't care what his offense is. I don't care whose pass catchers are. He has been a top 5 quarterback this year.
And he's worth being in the MVP quote unquote discussion because of the numbers and because of the fact that the 49ers are the best football team in the NFL. But at the same time, like given what he's tasked to do at the quarterback position, I don't think he's doing as much
quarterback. No quarterback in their second year should be taking over the whole offense.
It's not to discredit Purdy because he's simply not asked to do what the other guys are. I'm just saying MVP should be contextually taking that into a factor. When Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts are leading their entire offenses, I think we should factor that in.
What exactly do they do that, Brock? You keep saying he's not asked to do what they're do, but give me some actual specifics before just throwing that statement out there.
Well, what are you looking for? I mean,
what are they asked? Name one thing that they're asked to do that Brock Purdy isn't asked to do.
Well, for example, a guy like Dak Prescott, the way he has command at the line of scrimmage, the way he has full autonomy over line protections, full autonomy over play calling. Like you see it when he's at the line, it is full command. Again, that's not to discredit Brock Purdy because he's doing as well as he can.
Brock Purdy does shit like that too, dude. Like I don't know what you mean.
Come on. Cerebral. You're putting him on the same stratosphere as guys like Justin Herbert and guys like Dak Prescott at the line of scrimmage.
Considering he's a second-year quarterback operating the best offense in the league, he's got to be at least pretty cerebral. He can't just be a fucking puppet.
100%. I'm not saying that, but at the same time, when those guys are doing more at the line of scrimmage, we have to factor that in. He's not changing line calls. He's not changing sliding protections. He's not changing all that stuff because he doesn't have to because the 49ers are so good. What I have to understand here is that if he's not doing as much for his specific offense, like, yeah, the numbers are great, but at the same time, it's like we saw earlier this year when the Niners had their rough stretch, it was when they were limited without one of those offensive superstars. So I just want to see, can he do it with
he also had a
non-perfect
concussion
ideal?
for those 2 games. He
Really?
did. He was playing like fully concussed for those 2 games.
Okay.
And those are by the way,
we're making excuses.
sample
Okay.
size you're pointing out is the only time he's looked like anything other than an elite quarterback this year.
But that's what I mean.
And
It's
his
like,
big
what
time throw
Brock
rate,
Purdy are
because
we
he's not asked to do anything because he's only Kyle Shanahan's puppet, by the way. 23 big time throws this year, 6% big time throw rate. That is fifth in the NFL. Only Trevor Lawrence, Russell Wilson, Tua, and Dak have been higher. He has a higher big time throw percentage than Josh Allen, then Jalen Hurts, then Patrick Mahomes, then Lamar Jackson, and then Justin Herbert.
Like I said, he's not asked to do as much given the design of the offense. You agree?
Is a big time throw a big time throw? Yes or no?
A big time throw is a big time throw, but when it's schemed a wide open inbreaker 20 yards down the field, we have to contextualize it. Again, I'm not
discrediting. It wouldn't be big time throw if it was wide open. That's not a big time throw if it's wide open.
Okay, but when you're throwing to Deebo Samuel, when you're throwing to George Kittle, they're going to make the margins look very, very different.
And how many? CeeDee Lamb isn't?
Okay, but CeeDee Lamb compared to 3 All-Pro guys versus 1 is a difference.
CeeDee Lamb's better than all of those guys, to be honest.
Sure, but you got 3 potential Hall of Fame talents on your team on the perimeter, and a Hall of Fame generational running back.
Hall of Fame talents.
Brandon Ayuk is amazing, and Deebo
He's
Samuel
a great player.
is
He
the
ain't
best
a Hall of Fame
do-it-all wide
talent,
receiver in the league. What are we doing?
He's a great receiver, dude. He's not a Hall of Fame talent. This is like his second 1,000-yard season
as a separator. Okay, so we're box score watching still.
He's a great player, man. Like you're coping hard if you think that.
How am I coping? I've said multiple times that the Niners are the #1 team in the NFL and are probably the favorites to not only win it all, but do it
pisses me off that this is the narrative around Brock Purdy. Nobody can just admit the guy is a great.
I'm higher on him than the consensus.
He's a complete product of the system.
I didn't say he's a complete product. I just said he should be a top 5 MVP candidate, but I don't think he should win it.
I didn't say he should win it. I said he's played like a top 5 quarterback.
Okay, so I thought you were arguing him versus Dak versus Lamar.
I'm saying he's in the same conversation as Dak, as how well he's played this year.
I don't think he should win it, is what I'm saying, knowing that.
You said earlier that Dak and him shouldn't even be in the same breath.
I said it should be, in my opinion, Dak, Lamar, Hurts over Brock Purdy, given the context
Hurts
of the
should not be over Brock Purdy. Tyreek should be over Hurts, at least, for sure.
Oh, I think if we're keeping it real, Tyreek could be #1.
Also, Lamar, he hasn't played like an MVP this year. He's been good. He hasn't played like an MVP.
Dude,
I would give it to Prescott or Purdy over Lamar for sure. I think if you're going to say that the top, I actually agree with you. I think Dak probably deserves the MVP this year, but Brock Purdy would be my second vote if we're not talking Hill.
I don't know. It's just tough for me to get there.
Will Brock be the lowest paid quarterback to win a Super Bowl? He will win the Super Bowl this year, and people will most likely say that he got carried. Anyways, what else do we got here? Yeah, of course. Like every good quarterback had elite talent around them, dude. Joe Montana was throwing to Jerry Rice and fucking Roger Craig out the backfield. And John Taylor and all those other guys. Who had a better fantasy night, Saquon or King Henry? I'll take Saquon there. I think he has a better fantasy night. We're also, I think I missed some other shit here too. A lot of Cowboys talk. Mr. Blue loves that. Yeah, Herbert has amazing weapons and sucks. I mean,
Herbert does not have amazing weapons.
He doesn't have amazing weapons, but I've been a little underwhelmed with Herbert's development since his rookie season. I think he should be better now than he has been, to be honest.
I think the supporting cast is extremely overrated. The offensive line, yes, you got Rashawn Slater, but it has struggled a good amount this year. And when Keenan Allen's your #1, I understand the targets, the numbers are going to show he's a true #1 wide receiver, but he impacts one portion of the field at this point in his career. That's what he is. He's Jarvis Landry.
Yeah,
he's better, but he's Jarvis Landry.
I don't know. I'm less quick to defend quarterbacks with less around them and less quick to belittle quarterbacks with a lot around them, because I think that football is a fucking team sport, and good quarterbacks need good protection, need good coaching, and need good weapons. So
that's probably the
Justin Herbert is 1v9ing out there. At some point, you have to elevate your teammates. And Keenan Allen is a borderline Hall of Fame talent. Like, I don't care what he is at this point in his career. He's having his best season of his career right now. So you can't say that he's washed or anything like that.
He's a top 10 overall wide receiver. Like I would say
This
Brandon
season,
Ayuk is
yes,
better
he
than
has
him.
been
I
100%. This season,
statistically,
Keenan
yeah.
Allen has been a top 10 receiver.
Statistically, yeah, but realistically,
He's been great this year, dude. You're dizzy if you think
I'm
anything other than a top 10 receiver this year.
you're starting a team to go compete for the Super Bowl this year. I would take a guy like Brandon Ayuk over him without hesitation.
Sure. That's not an outrageous take. I don't know. I'm not just gonna be like, oh, Justin Herbert is so much better because he has nothing around him, and a guy like Purdy has everything around him. It's like,
Yeah,
sometimes you realize that a guy is actually elevating his teammates when that guy leaves. Like if Sam Darnold was quarterbacking the 49ers right now, would they still be an elite team? Probably. But would their offense be this dynamite? Dude, they had 9 explosive plays yesterday. 25 plus yards, 9 of them.
The only thing that still gives me pause is that we saw Jimmy Garoppolo lead them to the Super Bowl. That's what's causing me to give it pause. It's like,
but the problem with that is that their defense was the culprit of that team that year,
and their defense is also top 3 this year. I understand their offense is also
their
great.
defense
This is not
as good this year as it was in 2019. Not even close.
I agree, but for the record, again, this is not me saying Garoppolo is better. I think Brock Purdy is substantially better than what Jimmy Garoppolo was. I think Brock Purdy, like I said, is a top 15-ish level quarterback. That's the respect I'm giving now. If he goes out and he wins the Super Bowl and he shows he can win on his own and like be the factor of that offense, I have no problem putting him in that top 10 area. But
I mean, he's been doing that all season for what it's worth.
He hasn't been putting the offense on his back. Don't say that.
He has been.
Don't say that. No, don't say that.
I mean, Eagles game, yeah, Debo has like 3 touchdowns. I'll give you that. But like every other game, dude, the guy deals big time throws left, right, and center.
Yeah, I mean, like
I'm just, again, I don't know.
We're just not going to agree.
Brock Purdy is a great quarterback, and no quarterback has ever had this great of a situation to start their career. Probably like Tom Brady, Joe Montana.
Nobody in history, probably, bro.
Like literally, like this is the best offensive insulation that a quarterback has probably ever had to start the first 2 years
in
of
the
their
NFL.
Career. But at the same time, 3 years from now, if Brock Purdy is the culprit of why his offenses are so good because he was able to develop in an offensive scheme like this, that's exactly what Tom Brady became. That's exactly what Joe Montana became.
I have no problem adapting to new information because, again, I saw, by the way, someone compared it to Dak. Dak had a really good offensive line in his rookie season, but the perimeter talent wasn't remotely comparable, I don't think.
It wasn't, but he had a great run game, and it probably allowed him to develop the same way it's allowing Brock Purdy to develop.
No doubt. But then again, like I've said multiple times, I think this version of Dak is a lot, like substantially better than rookie Dak. So, but either way,
sure. I mean, Russell Wilson is another example. He had a great run game, great offensive line, good talent around him, and he was able to develop from a trailer, a guy that was carried by his offense, to a truck. And I think this is the first year that we're seeing Brock, like last year, completely carried by his offense, like totally. Yeah. This year, we've seen way more evidence to say that he is elevating the teammates around him, and he's not just along for the ride. And I think next year, we're going to see maybe some of these guys leave in free agency. I don't know. But next year, it's going to be blatantly obvious that it's not just the offense carrying him, in my opinion, next year.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's an accurate quarterback. And like you said, he's smart learning new information. So I have no problem if he sustains the level of success that he has right now, and he can show that he can do a little bit more on his own. I have no problem putting him in the top 10 for now. I think he's more so a top 15-ish guy for me.
Yeah. And I Anthony, if you're saying Stafford,
Agreed.
Like most valuable
Stafford's
player to
insane.
His team, yeah. Like I think if we're going by the raw definition of most valuable player to his team, I think you could make the argument for sure that
Stafford is nuts,
has been one of the best talent elevators of his team for sure.
He's so good still, even despite the injuries, even despite the inconsistencies in terms
Only
of
he was on the Lions.
Play. Oh man. Waddle's already here. All right, the game is on.
Yeah, we've just been discussing Brock Purdy shit in the while. Apparently, Jalen Waddle is hurt as well.
That's the curse of me calling a going nuts pick, right?
Yeah, I also did. I do have Saquon v. Jalen Waddle, and I'm up by 7.5 points against AJ in the Tone Setters League, and this would secure me a bye. So if Waddle's hurt, hopefully it ain't serious. Right. But if Waddle's hurt and he's out for the rest of the game, not going to complain about that. Not going to lie.
Tone Setters League, like as in like Tone Setter Truthers?
Yeah. It looked grim for a second. I had Desmond Ridder and Mitch Trubisky combined for fucking 50 points on my head top. But I will say Jalen Waddle needs, the way that the scoring works right now is I'm up 7.4 points. I have Saquon Barkley. He has Jalen Waddle. So that's how it's going to come down to tonight. So I
Yeah.
feel good. I think Barkley can win that, but Waddle's, an explosive guy. He could always have a big game too.
By the way, I did take down Doc, clinch first place in that league. I think the playoffs are actually already set because AJ's a game behind Doc, and Doc, even if he loses, will have the points for tiebreaker. But it is a nice little momentum thing, knocking Doc down, knowing that you're gonna have to play him in the second round potentially. And
I got PTSD from last year when fucking
this
CeeDee
year
Lamb
too.
and
Did you
Dak
put
and
200 on
Jerick McKinnon destroyed me.
Well, you have your three losses are to me twice and him, right?
I need this bye, dude, because I have Ramondre, Jonathan Taylor, fucking a bunch of guys that are hurt right now. Like I actually need a week just to have my team get a little bit healthier.
Yeah, nothing like the bye. By the way, funny enough, Mr. Blue, I agree with this, to be honest. I think if the Bills get in, I think they will make the AFC Championship. If the Bills miss out, I think you replace that name with the Chiefs. But I honestly think
Kansas City is going to get one and done this year in the playoffs. I don't buy shit that they're going to do anything. Honestly, I don't care that they're Kansas City. They aren't going to win shit this year. I think the Ravens are a sneaky team where you look at it, it's like, how come the Ravens couldn't go further with Lamar in the past? It's like mainly because they had these like juggernaut Chiefs teams to run into in the playoffs, and there's no team like that in the AFC this year. So the Ravens, this could low key be their year to make a run in the AFC.
I can see it. It does kind of suck.
I like the Jags to potentially get hot as well. If once Lawrence is like fully healthy, I think that they can get hot as well.
It kind of sucks, to be honest. Like I don't want to sound spoiled by saying this, but it sucks for me like that the Cowboys are the second best team in the league, in my opinion. But the first best team in the league is also in their conference, so they probably aren't going to make the Super Bowl. Like it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, well, there was plenty of years. Deion Sanders used to say too. There was a game in was it 93 or 90, whatever year that the second Super Bowl, I think that the year that the 49ers won the Super Bowl, that Steve Young got the monkey off his back or whatever. That game that they played against Dallas, it was like we knew whoever was winning that game was going to annihilate the Chargers in the Super Bowl. Yeah. Like it was like that was the Super Bowl. The NFC Championship was the Super Bowl that year.
Well, and I honestly think it's going to be that case this year. I think the Ravens could win the Super Bowl too, like based on the play.
I think the Super Bowl winner is an NFC team guaranteed.
I do too.
I don't think the AFC is going to win the Super Bowl.
I do too. Very good sign that we finally beat the over 500 team. Is that us taking the monkey off the back according to the
narrative? A little bit. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, the Bucs, the year we won the Super Bowl, we had to do it. We had to beat New Orleans in New Orleans. That was something that we had to do. But yeah, I think this whole season's a formality for the 49ers to eventually win the Super Bowl anyway. So I don't think it even matters what we're talking about.
Yeah, especially knowing that, like, if the Cowboys had home field advantage in that game, I'd feel more confident. But knowing that it's like probably guaranteed to go in San Francisco, it's gonna be tough to beat them at their base. I will say
it is. Yeah. Cody said, "Boys, I got lucky. Guy had Nico, Justin Herbert, Evans, Gus Edwards, and my kicker, and Brandon Aubrey covered all those guys combined. That's crazy, dude.
Brandon Aubrey is a stud, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck happened with him, but he's Oh, somebody else is hurt now. What's going on here?
By the way, we should just end this stream for the
record. We should end this stream. We're like missing a bunch of shit here. But appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you stay tuned tomorrow. Daniel will have some waiver guys for you. Probably just be a short video because there's not a whole lot going on waivers this time of year. And then on Wednesday, I'll actually do playoff rest of season rankings. So quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, tier lists, and then I'll do some defenses as well for those of you guys that are streaming those. But definitely stay tuned for that. Peace out, and we'll talk to you soon.